Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive with us.
Always exciting.
Yeah. Today, we're going to be looking at something that I think we all are thinking about pretty much all the time,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Unstoppable confidence.
unstoppable confidence. I like that.
Yeah, and you know what's cool? We're pulling all this from an English Pod 5 episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's called How to Build Unstoppable Confidence.
Yeah.
So we're going to break it all down for you, the listener, and give you, like, the cheat sheet for leveling up in basically every area of life.
You know, it's funny, right? So many people, they think confidence is like this magical thing. You either have it or you don't.
Right.
But what really stuck out to me in this episode was this idea that it's way more like a muscle, you know?
Oh, okay.
Like something you can train.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But I got to ask, what does training your confidence muscle
Yeah.
even look like? Like, do I need to, I don't know, start doing confidence push-ups or something?
Confidence push-ups. I like that. But really, think about it this way. When you go to the gym, you don't just walk in and bench press like 200 pounds on day one.
Right.
You got to start smaller, got to be consistent, and then you get stronger over time. Confidence, it's the same deal.
So instead of trying to be like super confident overnight, we should just focus on those smaller like reps, I guess.
Yeah.
That kind of build up our confidence over time.
Exactly. And one of the, I think, most powerful places to even start is with your mindset.
Okay.
That inner voice you have, you know, the one that just won't quit. That's where the magic happens. Or the not so magical stuff, too.
You mean all that like negative self-talk?
Oh, yeah.
The I'm not good enough, I always mess this up kind of stuff.
That's the one. If you're always feeding yourself those negative thoughts, it's like you're literally sabotaging your own confidence. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know?
Ouch. Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of that. But how do we flip the script?
Right.
Do we just tell ourselves, I'm awesome 1,000 times a day or what?
Yeah, it's a little more nuanced than that,
Okay.
but you're on the right track. The hosts of the podcast, they had a really cool suggestion, really practical.
Yeah.
They said, catch those negative phrases and you just swap them out with something more empowering.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I'm terrible at this, you can try, I'm still learning.
That's interesting. It's like taking those harsh judgments and turning them into opportunities for, like, growth.
Right. It's not about denying reality. It's about choosing a way to talk to yourself that's more supportive, more encouraging. And even tiny, tiny shifts in your language can make such a difference in how you feel.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
It's like when you're trying to encourage a friend.
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell them they're terrible. You'd be like, hey, you know, I know you're struggling, but remember how awesome you are at this other thing and, you know, try to support them.
That's such a good point. You're basically becoming your own best cheerleader.
Yeah.
And guess what? This is something you can do right now.
Right.
Start noticing those negative thoughts and replace them with something, you know, better.
Okay, so we've got the mental game down.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Sometimes even with, like, the best mindset, I still just feel, like, awkward and unsure of myself. Is there anything else we can do to, like, boost our confidence? Especially in those moments where we feel anything but confident.
There is. This is where things get a little more interesting. Ready to get physical.
Oh, okay. Tell me more. What are we talking about?
Body language. It turns out your physical presence, it has a massive impact on your confidence levels. And there's some really fascinating hacks you can use.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So how I stand, how I move, that can actually change how confident I feel. I always thought it was the other way around.
It's a two-way street. That's what's so cool about it. Think about it. You can spot a confident person from like a mile away, right?
Right.
They have this presence about them. Shoulders back, chin up. They move with purpose.
Okay, yeah, I can picture that. But are you saying I need to walk around like I'm on a runway 247 to feel confident?
Not exactly, but there is something to be said for, you know, faking it till you make it with body language.
Okay.
They call it the confident posture in the podcast. Shoulders back, chin up, like you own the room.
So I just need to strike a power pose and bam, instant confidence.
Not instant, not quite, but the idea, right, is like by physically, like, you know, embodying that confidence, you're sending these signals to your brain like, hey, maybe I am confident after all.
Right.
They even mentioned a study, the podcast host, where people, they held these power poses for like a couple minutes and they actually had like hormonal shifts, like they made them feel more powerful, less stressed.
Wait, seriously. So our bodies can actually trick our brains into feeling more confident. That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I'm totally going to try that like next time I'm feeling nervous. Speaking of feeling nervous, though, let's be real. Sometimes we just like don't feel confident at all.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah.
zero confidence. Is there any hope for us in those moments?
Absolutely. And actually, this next point from the podcast, it goes right to that.
Okay.
They said action is the antidote to a lack of confidence.
Hold on. Are you saying I don't need to feel confident before I take action?
You got it. It's kind of like the opposite of what we usually think, right? We wait till we feel confident to go after what we want. But the podcast, it argues that it's the taking action, even when we're scared or unsure,
Right.
that actually builds the confidence.
Okay, that makes sense. I definitely noticed that when I push myself outside my comfort zone even a little bit,
Mhm.
I do feel a sense of accomplishment afterwards.
Exactly. And that sense of accomplishment, it fuels your confidence for the next challenge. And they use this great example in podcasts of starting conversations. Think about it. Like, if you want to be more confident in social situations, you don't wait until you feel like a social butterfly, to start talking to people.
Yeah.
You just start small. Say hi to the barista, ask a coworker about their weekend, and those little interactions, they add up.
So it's like each interaction is a little mini confidence workout. The
Yeah.
more we practice, the stronger we get.
Exactly. And the more you put yourself out there, the more you realize, like, hey, I can actually handle this.
Right.
I can talk to people, I can survive the awkward moments, and that realization, that's what builds real lasting confidence.
This is making me think about all the times I've held myself back from doing things
Yeah.
because I didn't feel confident enough. Maybe I was going about it all wrong.
It's such a common trap. We think we need to feel confident before we can do the things that will make us confident. But the podcast, it really turns that on its head. They're all about action is the key.
Okay, I'm convinced. Action it is. But there's one more thing that always trips me up. Perfectionism.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I need to be perfect at something before I can even think about doing it.
The perfection trap. So many of us get stuck there, and it can really just crush your confidence. But guess
Mhm.
what? The podcast addressed that too.
Okay, please tell me they had a solution for this
Great.
because perfectionism is my nemesis.
They do, and it's actually pretty simple. They said that true confidence comes from knowing you can handle the mistakes
Hmm.
and keep going. It's about embracing imperfection.
Easier said than done, right?
Mhm.
But I get the idea. So instead of trying to be perfect, we should just focus on being brave enough to try, even if we mess up along the way.
Yeah, that's the spirit. The hosts, they even admitted that, they've struggled with perfectionism too, and they've held themselves back because of it. They said it's a journey, and it's about shifting your focus from avoiding failure to embracing the learning that comes from making mistakes.
That's a huge mindset shift.
It is.
But I can see how it would be so freeing,
Oh, yeah.
If we're not so afraid of messing up,
Yeah.
we're more likely to actually go after the things we want.
Exactly. And remember, confidence, it's not about being flawless.
Yeah.
It's about knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way, imperfections and all.
Wow, this episode is packed with so much good stuff.
I know, right?
It's like a masterclass in building confidence. But before we move on, can we quickly recap the key takeaways for our listeners?
Absolutely. So we started with this idea that confidence, it's like a muscle you can train.
Right.
And one of the best ways to strengthen it is by paying attention to your self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
You got to replace those negative thoughts with more empowering affirmations.
Then we explored the mind-blowing
I
connection
know.
between body language and confidence.
Yeah.
We learned that even simple things like standing up tall and holding a power pose can actually boost your confidence levels.
It's true.
Next, we busted the myth that you need to feel confident before taking action. The podcast, it really emphasized that action is the key ingredient to building confidence.
Yeah, that's such a big one.
By pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones, even in small ways, we prove to ourselves that we're capable of more than we think. And finally, we tackled that dreaded perfectionism trap. The takeaway here is that true confidence comes from embracing imperfection, knowing that we can handle mistakes,
Yeah.
and that failure is just part of the learning process.
Oh, so important. So much good stuff. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired to put all of this into practice.
Me too. And I think our listeners are probably feeling the same way. But before we wrap things up, I have one more question for you.
Okay, hit me with it.
Well, we've talked a lot about building confidence in general,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, have you ever had to work that confidence muscle in a really big way? Was there a specific challenge you had to overcome that forced you to step outside your comfort zone and really embrace these principles?
That's a great question. And you know what? It's funny you should ask because there was this one time, like early in my career, and I got asked to present at this huge conference.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking hundreds of people, big names in the industry, like the whole shebang.
Okay.
And public speaking, definitely not my forte.
Oh, man. I can only imagine the nerves. Did you, like, want to crawl under a table and hide?
Pretty much. But I knew this was like a huge opportunity and I didn't want to let my fear just like totally stop me. So I decided to put all this stuff we've been talking about into practice.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me the play-by-play. How did you tackle those, like, pre-presentation jitters?
Okay, so first, mindset, right?
Yeah.
I had to like keep reminding myself, okay, I was chosen for a reason. I have something valuable to share. It's okay to be nervous. I even use those like positive self-talk phrases we were talking about.
Did you strike a power pose backstage?
You bet I did. I found a quiet corner, did a few power poses just to like pump myself up.
I love it.
It sounds silly, but it honestly helped.
Okay, so you had the mindset, you had the body language down.
Yeah.
But how did you actually handle that, like, moment of truth, walking out on stage in front of all those people?
Honestly, I just focused on taking action. I took a deep breath, reminded myself that I prepared, and I just walked out there. The first few minutes were like a blur, but then as I got into it, I could feel my confidence like growing.
Yeah, it's amazing how just taking that first step
Yeah.
can make such a big difference. Like, you proved to yourself you could handle it, and that probably boosted your confidence even more for, like, future presentations.
Oh, for sure. It was a real turning point for me. It showed me that confidence, it's not this thing you just magically have.
Right.
It's something you build through action, through facing your fears, through embracing the discomfort.
That is such a powerful lesson, and it's so inspiring to hear how you put all these principles into practice
Yeah.
in, like, such a high-stakes situation.
Yeah.
It's proof that this stuff really works.
It does. It really does. And the best part, it applies to like every area of life. It's not just public speaking.
Right.
It's relationships, it's work, it's whatever you're passionate about. Like these principles can help you.
That's so true. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of unstoppable confidence.
It has been fun.
We've covered so much, from mindset to body language to action to embracing imperfection. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for building my own confidence.
Me too.
And I think our listeners are probably feeling the same way. But as we wrap up, I just want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've talked about all these amazing strategies for building confidence, but if you had to choose just one piece of advice, like, what would be the most important thing to remember?
Oh, that's easy. Take action. Even if you don't feel confident, even if you're scared, just take that first step. The more you act, the more confident you'll become. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but in the best way possible.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to continue your own confidence journeys. Remember, you have everything you need to build unstoppable confidence. It's already within you, just waiting to be unleashed.
Until next time.